Hey, how's it going? It's Jocelyn here with the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, where I am striving to help you find positivity during pregnancy and during those tough phases of motherhood. Motherhood can be really hard, and so can pregnancy, and I have found thought tools and mindset shifts that have helped me find deeper joy and satisfaction in pregnancy and motherhood. I've had 4 babies in a miscarriage, or four children in a miscarriage, and have had a bit of experience with pregnancy. In today's episode, though, I actually want to do a quick crash course in nursing for first-time mamas. So if that is your season, stay tuned for this episode, and if you are returning, it might give good reminders if you are a mom who wants to nurse again or wants to try nursing. So thank you for being here, and let's get into it. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, host of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life, and I can help you. Thanks for joining. All right, so if you're a mom that likes to listen to podcasts with your children, I don't know if this is one that you want to. You'll just have to decide if you're okay with them hearing these terms and phrases. But I will be talking about breasts and nipples and all that sorts of stuff that goes with nursing. So I know sometimes when I have a podcast playing and my kids are around, and if they're going to be talking about stuff that I'm not quite ready for them to hear yet, I want to plug earbuds in. So there's your little warning if you want to plug some earbuds in. So it's not going to be a super deep episode, but kind of a basic of what nursing is like and helpful things to have for nursing if you are a first-time mom. So nursing is actually not super easy at first, especially when you've never done it. It's really hard to get the hang of it. It takes patience. It takes working with the baby. It actually takes a little bit, or it did for me. But usually after the first week of working through it and being patient, it was a lot better. And I wish I would have known these things when I had my first baby. He came 9 weeks early, so I hadn't really done any research or studying, and so that was tough. But here I'm going to give you some things that I have learned over nursing my 4 babies and what was helpful in doing that. So when your baby comes, the first thing that your breasts produce is something called colostrum. And it is stuff that is super high in good antibodies, good vitamins, super good things for the baby. If you are able to even nurse for a few days to get the colostrum in, it is super helpful and beneficial to the baby. So that is the first part that comes in. And at this point, when you start nursing your baby, your nipples become super sore. It is very painful until they kind of get used to the sucking. It is painful. So prepare yourself for that. I was not prepared for how painful that was at first. And it was a little discouraging, but I feel like if you know that it's going to be painful, you can kind of prepare for that. Sometimes they can get so dry and cracked that they even bleed. Something to help the drying and the cracking when you are first nursing your baby is lanolin. It's this like clear cream that you can rub on it that soothes it a lot. And I would highly recommend using this. At least in the hospitals that I have been to, they have always had sample packets that they have given. And usually the sample packets that they've given me at the hospital have been enough to get me through to where they're not so sensitive to the sucking anymore. And so that was super helpful. Maybe check if your hospital does the lanolin. I imagine most would, but if they don't, or if you're doing a home birth, I would recommend getting some of that to have for when you get some dry and cracked nipples, because it is painful at first. So something to be aware of when you are getting a baby to nurse is the proper latch. You do not want them to just suck on the edge of your nipple, because that's super painful, and it's not, the baby gets more when they have the proper latch, and it doesn't hurt as bad when they have the proper latch as well. So some things that have helped me when I was doing a proper latch was to kind of squish your breast between your hands so that more of your nipple was poking out than just your nipple. So at this point, you would try to get the baby to open their mouth. So sometimes with my babies, I would even pull their chin down with whichever hand was there to get their mouth opened all the way, and then kind of almost shove or push my breast into the baby's mouth that was pulled open. So that would help with the proper latch instead of having them just stuck on the nipple. This is helpful for so many reasons and is not as painful, to get the proper latch. Sometimes it can be a little hard to get the proper latch, but once you figure that out, it goes a lot smoother. And the painful breast, I wanted to go back to that for a second. It actually does go away after a few days, maybe up to a week. That sore nipple feeling, the pain when they first start sucking goes away. And usually for me, that it was painful at first, and then it would tend to ease as the baby continued to nurse. If you have started nursing or you're really struggling, but it's something that you really desire to do, I would highly encourage you to get some lactation specialist or find someone that has done it to come and help you. Because once you learn some of these tips and tricks, and it's really hard over the podcast to fully show you what I mean, but if you can get some of those lactation specialists, or even at the hospital, sometimes they can be very helpful to get the proper latch, hold the baby in an easy way to make it most comfortable and easy to make this whole process work, it will flow a lot better. But have patience with yourself, and have patience with the baby in figuring this out. So after the colostrum, the next thing is the milk comes in. And this is where it's actually the milk that your body will produce. Breast milk is known to be very good for the babies, and it is free. That was one of my main drivers of nursing, is that it was free. We didn't have to pay extra for it, and it was always there and readily available. That was one of my drivers in the beginning, but now that I've nursed more of my babies, there's other drivers of why I've nursed. I've actually done both. I've done both nursing and bottle, which has been super helpful for my mind and for my baby and being able to have a break. But I did nurse them up to about from 8 months to a year, just depending on the kid. So sorry about that little bit of a rabbit trail, but when your milk comes in, it can be painful. It can cause something which is called engorgement, where your breast gets so full of milk that it gets hard and that is very painful to the touch. Like rubbing or side hugging or front hugging anybody hurts so bad, and they grow. This milk makes your breasts fill up and they get really big. And the more they grow and get big, the more painful it can be. So sometimes with engorgement, the baby will not completely relieve your breasts. They have a small tummy, and they're learning this nursing thing too. And your breasts produce more than the baby needs. And you can get what I mentioned is called engorged, and it is painful. And thank goodness for modern day breast pumps, because that has saved my life and saved my breasts and pain in my breasts in many instances. And I did not know that you should have a breast pump when I had my first baby. It was a while before I found one and got one, but if you could have one before you're going to nurse, that will be so nice, especially when you're engorged and it is super painful, to be able to relieve that through the breast pump. The breast pump is good for relieving engorgement, but it also can help build up you some breast milk supply. Keep that breast milk. I've been told that breast milk is like liquid gold. Put it in your freezer and use it for when you want to give your baby a bottle. But having a breast pump, I would say, if you're going to nurse, is a must, or at least for me, it was a must to relieve that engorgement, because my breast did produce more milk than the babies ate at first. And then this kind of can even out. I actually will do another podcast episode on this sometime about scheduling to where You can relieve the engorgement because the more you pump out of your breasts, the more your breasts keep making that milk because your breasts and your body think that you need that much milk. But as you figure out a routine for pumping less and less, then you can get to the point where you don't have to use the breast pump as often, which is super helpful as well. So I will actually write that down and do a podcast on that as well, to where you can get to where you don't have to pump to relieve that. Your baby will just do it. And as your baby gets older, they drink more as well. So that will help too. So highly recommend a breast pump. All right, and there were a couple more things I wanted to talk about before I close up this crash course in nursing. This was really fast, but it'll give you ideas, it'll give you things to look into further, and it'll give you things that you might be interested in purchasing. The next thing I wanted to talk about was letdown. So letdown is when your body releases the milk. So sometimes women have commented that when they hear babies cry, then letdown happens. So I once heard a professor at school, she was teaching about women's health, and she mentioned how she was in the grocery store once, and there was babies crying, and her body decided to let down because the baby wanted to be comfort. And she said she didn't have a great bra on, and she started leaking through. And so you can prevent stuff like that by having nursing pads. At first, I usually use the nursing pads that you can buy because they soak up the milk better without soaking into your bra. And then after that, I had some fabric nursing pads that I would use, just an extra layer of protection for if you did have some leaky letdown. But this letdown happens it can happen when your baby's upset or when your baby starts sucking. Then the letdown happens, and it's kind of like a tingly sensation in your breasts, and the milk gets let down so that your baby can suck it. Isn't it amazing what our bodies can do? I find this so fascinating that we can go for a few hours and the milk is in there, but it doesn't let down until our baby's right there. Or sometimes if the baby's crying in a store. But nonetheless, it's pretty amazing. And I actually did not realize about letdown my whole first pregnancy. I think it was my second baby, my second newborn, not pregnancy. It was my second newborn that I really started feeling and noticing the letdown more. And that might have been that way with my first one because I just was green and wasn't paying attention. But as I've had more babies, I've noticed that letdown sensation a little bit more with my kids. And that will happen with you when your milk is let down for nursing your babies. The other thing I wanted to talk about was nursing covers. I actually really liked the nursing covers that wrapped all the way around you, because I could kind of hold it out with my hand so I could see the baby's face, but my whole, it was wrapped all the way around my body, so it would hide, my chub in the back and my shirt if it was pulled up in the front, and then I could just stretch it out with my hand in the front. And I found that to be my favorite nursing cover. There are a lot of options for nursing covers out there, but that one tended to be my favorite, and I tried quite a few. I just really liked that it went all the way around. Also, for me, nursing bras were a must. If you are planning on nursing, I would highly recommend a nursing bra. Nursing bras have a clip on the front that you can unclip it and it will pull down the front. You can pull down the front of your bra and have easy access for your baby to nurse, but the other side is still in a bra. Oh, I loved nursing bras. I definitely would highly recommend a nursing bra if you can, and even a good one if you're able to afford it. Save some of those monies to get a decent nursing bra. That will be super helpful and was super helpful to me. Most of all, I would just encourage you to be patient. It is going to be discouraging at the first. I would say give it 2 weeks if you can. If you're open to nursing and you want to try it, give it 2 weeks and then reevaluate. And if you're feeling a little better at 2 weeks, give it 2 more weeks and reevaluate, and so on and so forth. It is good for the baby. It is good for the mama. There definitely is those love hormones that come out when you're nursing your baby. And I tended to feel those even more as my baby got older. And it's amazing. It's incredible. It's that motherly love, and it's natural, and it's supposed to be there. And nursing is a beautiful opportunity if you feel up to it. I actually know that a lot of people, this is very hard. Mentally, it's very hard. Physically, it's very hard, and it can be too much. I actually have a podcast that will come out either next week or in 2 weeks about dealing with mom guilt over not nursing, because I know there's a lot of moms that would like to nurse, but it's too much mentally, physically, and emotionally for them, so they end up doing the bottle, which I don't feel is bad either. Like I say, I did both with 3 of my babies. One of my babies I did exclusively nurse because she didn't take a bottle. And that was kind of my own fault. But I will talk about all of these things in future lessons and podcasts, and I'm excited for you to be here. I'm excited for you to find joy in pregnancy, to find joy in nursing, and to use these tips and tricks to help you. I know today was more a little bit of kind of what nursing is like, but in the future I will talk about mindset in nursing and finding positivity with nursing if that's what you desire. So to give a little bit of a sum up on today's podcast episode, we talked about how your breasts will be sore at first. Use lanolin. Proper latch is super important and very helpful. The first milk that comes in is called the colostrum. When your milk comes in, you might get engorged, and a breast pump can be super helpful in these instances. We talked about the letdown and how letdown can occur, and it's helpful to have breast pads when you get engorged and nursing bras, and also a good nursing cover that you enjoy. So we will go deeper into a lot of these in the future. So if you are a first-time mama, or if you are a mama who wants to be reminded and learn about these during your pregnancies, I welcome you. I also invite you to share this episode with those mamas who need some of these pregnancy insights and tips, and those who desire to have a more positive pregnancy. That is why I am here. So thank you for listening. Until next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts for a better you in a positive pregnancy, in losing that stubborn baby weight, and becoming the mom you desire to be through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. I can help you find the small, doable steps without drastic changes to your everyday mom life. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time.